Okay, the budget you proposed passed the House. It seems like Democrats and the president running point want to make this budget about this general election, saying it's the stark choice. Do you think it comes down to this budget really about the choice ahead in the general election?
I am happy to have that debate. We are looking for this debate because we are offering the country solutions. We are showing the country how to get back to prosperity. We are showing the country how to pay down the debt, how to create jobs, how to avoid a debt crisis. The Senate, they haven't passed a budget in 3 years. Not in 2010, not in 2011, now not in 2012. And the president, he's given us 4 budgets, all of which have trillion-dollar deficits and don't even bother trying to fix the debt problem. So what we're getting simply from the White House is more demagoguery, more desperation, and more partisanship. And I'm happy to go to the country to give them a choice of 2 futures. What do you want? Do you want the American idea, the limited government-free society with the social safety net, or do you want the cradle-to-grave welfare state?
Today, President Obama was very pointed. He said it's all about facts. It's about math. I'm going to play some sound bites here about the specifics he listed and have you react to each one individually.
The year after next, nearly 10 million college students would see their financial aid cut by an average of more than $1,000 each.
No, it's not true. We keep Pell Grant funding at where they are today. We just don't have his huge increases. This category of spending has doubled in the last 4 years. We keep it where it is today instead of all these increases that he's proposing. So by not having his increases is where he comes up with that statement.
There would be 1,600 fewer medical grants, research grants for things like Alzheimer's and cancer and AIDS. There would be 4,000 fewer scientific research grants, eliminating support for 48,000 researchers, students, and teachers.
All of these claims are false because they're making assumptions in about our budget that aren't true, that aren't in our budget, in order to have these kinds of talking points, in order to try and scare people with these points. What's wild about this to me, Brett, is the president's willing to be so distortive of the truth, so misleading to the American people. Quite honestly, I think it's sort of beneath the office of the presidency to make such claims like that.
Their point is you don't have specifics and that you let the specifics be decided by the House Ways and Means Committee.
That's not true. They put certain assumptions in our budget which are not in there, and they ignored all the specifics we put in there. And when it comes to tax policy, we're saying, just like the Simpson-Bowles Commission, let's get rid of the tax loopholes so we can lower everybody's tax rates. Take away tax shelters for high-income earners so that we can lower everybody's tax rates. There's a bipartisan consensus on tax reform. We're reflecting that consensus. Unfortunately, the president is objecting to that consensus. He's calling for higher tax rates and more loopholes in the tax code.
If this budget becomes law and the cuts were applied evenly, starting in 2014, over 200,000 children would lose their chance to get an early education in the Head Start program. 2 million mothers and young children would be cut from a program that gives them access to healthy food.
Actually, spending is capped at the level we agreed to, and we cut discretionary spending in ways where we specify. So what's interesting about this, Brett, is the president hasn't offered solutions. He's waiting for Republicans to offer their solutions, then he's distorting their budget in order to try and mislead the country. What I think he's trying to do is divide us in order to distract us as his election strategy.
So is he making assumptions about the cuts across the board and saying it will affect these things, and you're saying it's not going to happen?
That's true, because we don't cut across the board. We specify how we cut. We don't cut in the way he assumes we do. That's point number one. Point number two is we don't sign up for his massive spending increases, and he's measuring us against that, meaning if we don't sign up for his massive spending increases, then we're somehow cutting spending. That's just not how math works. That's how Washington works, unfortunately.
If this budget became law by the middle of the century, funding for the kinds of things I just mentioned would have to be cut by about 95%. Let me repeat that. Those categories I just mentioned, we would have to cut by 95%. As a practical matter, the federal budget would basically amount to whatever's left of entitlements, defense spending, and interest on the national debt, period.
The current path that we're on does that, Brett. By 2025, 3 programs, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, along with interest, consume 100% of federal revenues. So we are on a path where just these entitlement programs displace all other, what he's referring to, discretionary spending. Because we get these entitlements under control, because we reform government, because we save Medicare, because we get this under control, we free up fiscal space for those priorities. So the president's path that he's put us on is one in which what he just said does actually become the case, where you have no money left for all these discretionary things government does because our entitlements have exploded, they've gone bankrupt, and they bankrupted the country.
Is the president lying today, Congressman?
He's distorting the truth. I'll leave it at that.